This video will help to completely change your self-image and help you to let go of the past, let go of what's weighing you down, let go of the limiting beliefs and the doubts, to be able to reconcile that inner dialogue and create a new state of harmony with your internal intention, to align with your true self, to align with your authentic self, with your spiritual inner being, and to wire in the new self-embodiment. So welcome, guys. I'm Joshua, and this channel is devoted to helping you to tune your frequency into alignment. So diving into what does it mean to embody your new self? And what is the new self? What is becoming a new version of yourself? See, in the law of attraction teachings, we hear that a belief is nothing more than a thought that you continue to think. Right? It is a habitual thought. And so a lot of this work of becoming aware of your vibration, of becoming aware of your beliefs, is working on the level of the mind. Now, this can be very effective for learning to steer the direction of your thoughts and to become more conscious of the vibrational momentum of the thoughts that you're thinking, because thoughts at their purest essence are vibrations. Now, the deeper level of this happens on a somatic level, and somatic means soma, which means the body. It means the feelings and the emotions, the emotional energies that you can feel in your body. A lot of us sense our inner emotional guidance system through our solar plexus and through our heart. And it's like, oh, I feel it in my gut, or I felt, it's like follow your heart. There's a deeper level of intelligence in the body. And the body is not just, like the brain is not just the mind. The brain is a part of the body, and the body is the subconscious. So there's a connection between the brain and the heart, and there's actually a magnetic field that is more powerful emanating from the heart. And so we are connected to the field. We are connected to everything. We are connected to others. And learning to navigate this energy is our inner compass. It's like our true north. It's learning and honing our own discernment. So when we're born in here, this is the contrast of when we're incarnated here, we experience specific difficulties, specific soul contracts with family, specific trials that become our treasures. So when you look back and see the difficulties of your past, for me, it was a split that happened in my family early on in life, feeling like an outsider, and then not fitting into the system, being put on meds for ADD, and then coming out of that programming and having my spiritual awakening and realizing that I wasn't broken, so that there's no external system that I needed to fix me. Actually began my journey of freedom. Emotional freedom, spiritual freedom, seeking freedom, traveling, to embody freedom, which is actually what my name means. It means freedom through God. And to me, God is the one source. It's the source energy. It is the infinite intelligence. It's a consciousness of whatever you want to call it. And so when we realize that we are greater than our conditioning, that is the first step of becoming aware. And awareness is actually the first step in transformation. Awareness is the first step in healing. Awareness is the first step in liberation. And awareness is the first step in self-realization. And this is nothing complicated, merely realizing who we are as spiritual beings having a human experience, and realize when we're greater than our conditioning, that is what conditional love points at, this ideal of becoming unconditional. We also want to become unconditional in our being, right? Because when we just react to these conditions, that is the reactive mind. And as we start to practice meditation, mindfulness, energy work, tools that presence us in the now moment, we are now living in the more real world, because most people are living in their heads and they're living in projections of the reactive mind. And the survival state of what we could call the old self-identity gets held in the nervous system. And as certain belief programmings that get held as emotional states that cause you to think that the world's not fair, that other people don't respect you, that only happens to rich people. See, all these are beliefs and these are programs. And when people believe that, it actually limits their potential. And just changing your thoughts isn't enough because you have to work on the level of emotion. See, people think when they think something, it causes them to feel a certain way. But if you're feeling a certain way, you'll automatically think a certain way. Have you ever noticed how when you feel a certain feeling in a certain part of your body, that you have certain thought patterns that come up? Why is it that you have the feeling first? Like if you really pay attention, you actually have the feeling first, and then you have the same thought come up. So what are those thought patterns? Those are the thought patterns are the imagination. And when the imagination runs on autopilot, let's go ahead and call this the old self. When the imagination is plugged into infinite intelligence, has a freshness, has innovation, has excitement, has a sense of expansion. That is the new self. And somewhere here in the present moment, you can choose to let go of who you were before. This is a major process I've been going through, and then lean into the new self that you're becoming. You know, for me, it's been trying to get by. That old self is like trying to get by, the not enough, the grind, doing things I don't like. The new self of me is passionate, showing up, doing what I love, making money through doing what I love, being able to be of service, being creative, being lit up, being inspired. And so when I went back into my inner child work, because this is where it comes back to as well, is this is where the self-image gets crystallized. I saw that the journey from when I was about 0 to 7 is when I first learned unworthiness. And because I felt that, because I went through an experience of abandonment early as a child through the split in my family, I internalized that, and I believed that it was my fault. And then what happened was when I started to act up because I wanted to get the attention that I didn't feel I was getting the love from the external. Because my parents weren't around in the way that I wanted them to be, and I thought that meant that I was not loved. And so what happened was that pattern then crystallized into unworthiness when I first believed that there was something wrong with me. And that was when, I was taken to the doctor and they put me on, the medication for the ADD when I was about 6, 7 years old. I was on that till I was about 17, until I had my third eye open. And I realized that I could heal myself, and I discovered this thing called meditation. So that whole experience is when that pattern crystallized as unworthiness, was when I took on the belief that there was something wrong with me. And when you subconsciously believe that there is something wrong with you, you will always self-sabotage yourself. You will always self-doubt. You will get inspirations, but then you will procrastinate on them and not take them on action on the moment. You will be concerned about what other people think about you. And you will be concerned about being rejected, not seen, not heard, not understood. And to work through those patterns led me on a deep journey of many years of healing and going deep into the energy body and going deep into letting go of my past and being able to reparent myself. And as I went through that, and I went to also integrate different parts of myself along my spiritual awakening journey, and really integration, what is integration? So the word tantra means the weave, right? Even leaving the ideas of sacred sex out of this, like tantra is actually an understanding of consciousness, and it means the weave. So integration is like the seams of where the weave come together. Much like the word yoga means union, it's like coming into union with yourself. There's these parts of us that want to weave together and come into a greater whole, so we can become at greater oneness with ourself. And what happens is when we seek that external validation, we externalize our power, and the source is within us. Responsibility means the ability to respond. And when you become aware of these patterns, what happens is you start to be able to do the healing work. You start to able to take responsibility, and you start to able to integrate these parts of yourself and your psyche. And that's why I also do inner dialogue, inner counsel, self-inquiry. These are all ways of, one way is actually going within and meeting with your inner child and going on a walk to basically to resolve anything from people in the past. Another way is also to meet with different parts of your psyche. And I'm actually going to be making guided meditations going through this process where you can basically reconcile and have conversation between different parts of yourself, because different parts of you, that's where inner conflict comes from, is different parts of you didn't feel seen or heard and then want different things. But then when you allow yourself to work out these different polarity dynamics, which is also masculine and feminine, work within yourself, and you able to come into the integration of those parts of yourself, they kind of weave together and you come into oneness with yourself, right? That's why I use those words, Tantra and yoga, but again, not getting lost in the labels. I'm not selling you a religion. I'm just talking about it's all connected, right? And there's all these parts of you that want to come together and synchronize. And that's when you feel this internal harmony. Because see, what happens when we try to find our connection with God outside of ourselves, because we are all connected, and going to these events and going to these festivals and connecting with other people and wanting to live together in community, I'm all about that. It's really awesome. It's great. And at the same time, our true path to sovereignty is oneness with God, oneness with Source, within ourself, becoming one with ourself. That is what Carl Jung called the self with the capital S. And it's the idea that the process of individuation is to become one and become a whole being. And that's what working through these issues and letting go of these past identity layers, what some people call the ego, is. It's like peeling away layers of an onion, and then at the core, your true self is revealed. But here's the cool thing about it, is that your true self is actually always there, always has been, always will be, this kind of essential spiritual being aspect of you that is greater than your conditioning, quite literally. And what do I mean by conditioning? So we live in a world of conditions when we're here in this physical plane, in this physical body. The conditions are the conditions of your health, of your love. There's the condition of this camera being right here. There's a condition of you sitting in your chair. These are all conditions. Now, there's this popular idea that's moving through the consciousness now about becoming limitless or expanding your consciousness. And what that's pointing at is that when you synchronize with your higher self or your spiritual nature, your immortal soul, you become aware that you are greater than this condition, and you quite literally expand yourself beyond the boundaries of this space-time reality, and you realize that you are living in a waking dream, and that the conditions in your external reality are reflections of the conditions within you. That's why they opened Hermes' tubes and they found the secret of the ages. It said, as within, so without, as above, so below. In the Bible they said, as in heaven, so on earth. Neville Goddard said, the greatest thing you can do with your life is to create heaven on earth. Heaven is your mind state. It's your state of consciousness. Earth is the material world. It is the earth, quite literally. And the sky is quite literally on the earth, and you are the bridge between. Now, this is basic metaphysics. And to embody a new version of yourself is to understand the power of your imagination. Now, imagination is God, because God is creator. All right, this is a code. Don't take it quite too literally, is what my recommendation. So, creator consciousness, in the beginning there was the Word. Now, the Word is actually the vibration, right? And every thought has a vibration. So you are made in the likeness and image of God, creator, or source. So you have the ability to create. Now, we all know this. We're like, oh yeah, totally, dude, manifestation. But at the same time, when you understand that you are quite literally a creator, and that you are, what is created is made in the likeness and image of what? And I said God is your imagination. So it's made in the likeness and the image of God. Your imagination, made in the likeness and image of your imagination, creates your imagination. So that's the power of your self-image. This is the deep, deep, deep level, because when you learn to work on the level of causality, you understand that the causality is first found within, and that whatever happens here in the external world is an effect. Now, to work on the level of this transformation is to work on changing the level of the cause. and the cause is found within you. Now, this is what the point of the seeds in the garden of your mind being the subconscious, the seeds being the intentions. The seeds are the cause, right? Some people call this karma. And these causes, right, these seeds end up creating effects in your external reality. Now, your self-image itself, remember, let me take this back full circle to the beginning of the video. Beliefs are nothing but thoughts you continue to think. So then what is a collection of beliefs that you continue to hold but an identity? So the real thing that you are changing, because if this is a reflection, the real thing that you're changing when you create your own reality is you. You're actually, like a sculptor is chiseling away. It's like how a sculptor can see the sculpture that's already in the clay, and they're removing and they're chiseling away. This is the law of subtraction. I know we talk about law of attraction, but the law of subtraction, the law of clearing, is that you're clearing away whatever is not the true you to reveal what is already there. And in that revelation, you realize, and you have realizations, and you have these downloads that come in. And that's also stepping into this new embodiment, because this is a change in self-image. Now, perhaps the only free will that we have is in our imagination. Because we get to choose where our attention goes, our energy flows. So the self-image is cultivating the idea that you're actually imagining who you want to be. What does it feel like? What does it look like? How are you standing? What is your posture? And as you do these meditations, daily meditation, and you tune yourself in, as you let go, as you work through these emotional patterns, as you let go of the past, you open up space. See, when you let go and you let God, you let in the new energy of source energy, because source energy is constant. And in that, there's a rewiring that happens in your nervous system where you can bring in these new beliefs, because beliefs create our reality. See, people think that they're like, I'll believe it when I see it. But when you do this paradigm shift, you're like, no, I'll see it when I believe it. And people think, well, I believe that because it's true. Well, yeah, a lot of things are true, but some of the things that are true are because you believe them to be true. You end up attracting them, you end up expecting them, because your expectations actually do have power. And I know we hear a lot about release attachment to the result. Oh, don't have any expectations. But your beliefs are expectations. Letting go of attachment to the result is something entirely different. But you can also have a very clear expectation through belief of what it is is going to come to you. It's different. You're not attached to the result. You just know it's going to come to you because you've wired in the belief. Like, everything is working out for me is a belief. Everything is working out for me, best case scenario every time. I literally believe that. And because I believe that, it's actually true in my reality. Everything does work out for me every single time for the best case scenario. But to actually install that, it's also working through those past patterns and kind of like opening up space. It's like cultivating the soil. It's like composting. And then your subconscious becomes this rich and fertile soil for these new intentions. And as you wire in this new self, it becomes like you're grounding into it, and it becomes a grounded expansion. Because what happens with a lot of spiritual people, I've noticed this on my own awakening, I start opening up to these higher chakras, start opening up to these higher energies, and you start getting all ungrounded and become like an overwhelmed empath syndrome, because you don't have a solid grounding in your own body and your own sense of self. So you end up taking on other people and changing yourself like a shapeshifter based on trying to make other people feel good or trying to be pleasant. But you get to choose to be honoring of yourself, because what is nice is not necessarily what's kind. Because nice people will not have boundaries with someone that ends up making things go on that actually end up creating suffering, because it's like by actually trying to avoid suffering, you're actually creating suffering. But when somebody is not trying to be nice and they're actually being truly kind, meaning they're having honor and integrity to their actual values, then they're not afraid to make boundaries. And then that person can get, like, both people can actually get what they need much quicker. And there's more self-respect. So looking at that self-image of like, am I truly respecting myself? Because when people go to work and they're like, oh, they don't appreciate me, and you're complaining about that old story. Well, what within you is not appreciating yourself? What within you, you're saying, oh, they're not respecting me. It's like, okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine to feel that, or everything is okay. But I'm just saying that, like, you eventually get to this point of like, it's an energy within me that is being reflected. Am I truly respecting myself? Am I truly appreciating? Am I truly having gratitude for other people? Am I truly like cultivating that consciousness, counting my blessings every single day and knowing my own self-worth and showing up as my greatest version? Because if I'm not doing that, then just expecting other people to change and just reacting to external conditions makes you a slave to external conditions. Because then you need external conditions to be a certain way in order to be in a certain feeling state, in order to show up as a certain version of yourself. So you're always a slave to conditions because you're always reacting to this external reality. But as soon as you start self-sourcing and realizing that, no, actually I can meditate, I can get tuned in, I can imagine, I can create myself as I want to be, I can start to show up and embody this new version of myself and start to feel myself, lean into being that version of myself, and starting to take the creative, inspired actions. Like, you'll start to receive these inspirations that are a match to being that version of yourself as you start to tune your receiver. And that's being in the body is so important. That's why embodiment is so important, because the energy, the transformation actually happens through the body. The body is the instrument, the body is the conduit, the body is a multidimensional technology. It is said that either you need to understand the inner engineering of your body in order to be able to make it work the way you want, or I think you can just learn how to intuitively work with your own awareness to the point where you're feeling the energy in your body. Because as you start to synchronize your mind and your body, you start to develop a flow state. And that in that flow, there's an energy flow. Like, you clear your channel, you start to become receptive to inspiration, and you start to lean in, because you can literally be whatever you imagine yourself to be. This is where it comes into wiring in the new self, is creating a new self-identity and allowing yourself to imagine what life would be like as you're living that. Another powerful practice for that is, see, there's two different kind of types of meditation. There's receptive mode meditation and there's active meditation. And receptive meditation is a lot of surrender. It's a lot of just watching your breath. It's a lot of emptiness. It's a lot of witnessing. It's a lot of allowing, right? And that's great. But also this other aspect of meditation is you need both. It's like it's the yin and the yang. The active meditation is the visualization. It's the wiring in. It's the intention. It's the imagination. It's using every single sense. It's engaging. It's active energy work. It's running energy through your body. It's transmuting with the breath. And when you learn to balance these energies, because it's all polarity here, you're balancing that energy allows you that integration. And you could call that yin and yang, you could call that masculine and feminine, but they're just polarities of energy, positive, negative. Because people can get lost in the gender thing, but it's not really about that. So as you meditate and as you have a daily practice, especially that portal going to sleep, when you have that receptivity, or those points when you're taking a nap, or you're just resting and you're just able to meditate, you're able to open up and receive the inspiration. And that's when you also start to able to sculpt the visuals, sculpt the dream, start receiving the vision. And then also a practice of writing and journaling these things can also make that connection. And self-inquiry, asking yourself, what is my true purpose in life? Why do I want that? Why do I want that? Why do I want that? Or if you're having limiting beliefs coming up, questioning the seed of that belief. Is this necessarily true? Who would I be without this belief? Another mode of is letting go, is asking yourself, you know, again, it's very similar. It's like, is this true? Okay, who would I be without this belief? And that can open up that, am I ready to let this go? You can start to imagine what it would be like. You can write about what would it be like if I didn't believe this, or what would it be like if I did believe this, and start to just imagine what it would be like to be a new version of yourself if you did believe that you could fully creatively express yourself, if you did believe that you could financially prosper, if you weren't actually limited by these conditions, by your past, by your parents, by your society. Like, what would it be like if I actually was capable of anything? And you just start to journal. You can also wire that in. And another way to wire that in is the theme song to reality. Create a playlist of the songs that inspire you the most, make you feel like a superhero. Pick the songs that wire in the beliefs of being empowered, being healthy, being happy, being worthy, and that make you want to move and make you want to dance. And then also what you can do after you do these receptive and these active meditations of literally you can get into, Tony Robbins calls them superhero postures. And it's literally where you're taking the posture of yourself, like your hips forward, your back arched, and you're feeling this energy and you're like, yes, yes, like you build the vision in and you're like, you bring in all these blessings. Like imagine that there's all these blessings, like imagine all the blessings of your past where you had healing, where you had good family member moments, where you had good friendship moments, where you felt so much gratitude, where abundance came into your life. And now you start imagining future moments of yourself being this new version of you, being successful, being happy, being healthy, being worthy, going on that skydiving trip, doing that thing you want to do, having that beautiful experience with your lover, and building and building and building that gratitude to the point of like creating a full body yes and being like, yes, 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 I love my life. Yes. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this life. And going on, these are called rampages as well. Rampages of appreciation. Thank you for this life. Thank you for the fact that I get to be here on this earth. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for the sun that is shining on this day. Thank you for the health of my body. Thank you for every single cell in my body. Thank you for my legs that allow me to walk. Thank you for all the water I drink. Thank you for the fact that our planet produces that. Thank you for the fact that food exists. Thank you for the fact that the earth spins in perfect proximity to all the planets and the universe is conspiring to help this life exist today. If it was just a little bit different, we wouldn't even be alive. What a gift to be alive. And just building that appreciation. You can also do lists of just appreciating, building that appreciation, because what you appreciate grows. Appreciation is the secret to prosperity, because that's why appreciation is a financial term. As we appreciate our lives more, as we appreciate nature, as we appreciate the abundance of the universe that we are already gifted with, we are given more. It's like that passage that says, he who is grateful is given more. He who is not, all is taken from him. And that's that priming. And the last point in this video is leaning into who you choose to be. Because there's a lot of this just like law of attraction stuff of just like feel good, think good thoughts, whatever. But then if you are getting these inspirations and you're not taking them in the moment, then you're not wiring it in. But if you're not yet inspired and you're not ready to take that action, that's okay. It's just finding that balance. But knowing that when you have a calling, right, and you want to step into it, to build that momentum is showing up and doing these personal practices every single day to tune yourself as an instrument of the divine. And that as you clear and as you make space for your healing and as you love yourself and as you feel that inspired calling to show up and actually take the inspired action and show up and authentically express yourself, that every single day that you do that and you stay consistent in that, the momentum becomes unstoppable, becomes consistent. It just starts becoming who you are. And Napoleon Hill talked about autosuggestion, saying that the subconscious mind has its own momentum. And when you wire in the new self-identity belief system, you will start to automatically, because you've reprogrammed your subconscious with this new self-image, that you now have assumed the law of assumption, right? That you are this new self. This is just naturally who you are now. So now you will automatically take the actions. That's true flow state. That's when you've changed on the level of identity. So lean into who you want to be. Lean into who you choose to be. Because you get to choose who you want to be. So just be it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to check out the new self-embodiment meditation, we'll put that right here. for stepping into your highest timeline. And if you like the video, please hit the thumbs up. Send us a comment of who you're stepping into becoming. And make sure to hit subscribe and hit the bell if you want to get notified with all the downloads and upgrades that are coming in just for you on the awakening journey. Yeah, because it's like an adventure. All right. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, homies.